the next great crisis is going to be a food and medicine crisis. And Jamaica has 50% of the medicinal herbs in the world are found in Jamaica. With 300 of them, 30% of them only being found in Jamaica. We focus on the language, we focus on the food, but we have not done enough to focus on the medicine.
My Jammers family, how you do? Fantastic, fantastic. Today I have an awesome episode to share with you because I have, if not the most esteemed herbalist in Jamaica, he's certainly one of them. His name is Dr. Ben Israel. And guess what? He's going to share with us some interesting, actually he said, how you can use your senses to learn the medicinal uses of herbs. Essentially, teaching us how to become our own herbal doctor. And I'm going to take you along the journey. Listen though, for whatever reason, you have not yet subscribed to my channel, don't feel bad. It's a good time. I invite you now to join us. I'm on a journey to share what I call the real Jamaica. Stuff like these, medicinal herbs, unusual fruits, attractions, you name it. And I don't want you to miss any of that. So if you have not yet subscribed to my channel, do so now. It's simple. Just hit that subscribe button, tap the bell notification, and that way you'll see updated on all my latest videos. Let's go to Dr. Ben Israel. Alright guys, so here is the man at the moment, Dr. Ben Israel. How are you, sir?
I am doing fine, well, Leslie, and thank you for having me.
It is an honor and pleasure, man. We have been seeing each other. We needed to connect for a long time, but this is it. It's a beautiful day and I'm happy to meet up with you, man.
Yeah, man, I said nothing happened before your time, and I just want to congratulate you on your 100,000 subs. Watch the program. Very good, very.
Thank you, sir.
Very lively.
Thank you, thank you, and I appreciate you because you're doing something that I love, which is herbs. Natural Jamaica, real Jamaica, but you specialize in herbs and herbal medicine, and man, I couldn't wait to meet you. So I'm really excited. Today, what are you going to tell us again today?
All right, so today I'm here to talk about how our ancestors determine the medicinal uses of herbs. So we're going to talk about how to use the 6 senses. And some persons say, well, I thought there were 5 senses. But when it comes down to herbs, there's 6 senses.
Yeah.
And the 6th one would have been intuition.
Awesome.
And basically, our ancestors were so attuned, they were so in tune with nature that basically they were able to interact with the plants. They were able to interact with the herbs. Herbs literally speak to us. And so one of the things that I want to do is to share with persons how to interpret when the herbs are talking to us. So that's what we want to do.
Awesome.
So, you know, our ancestors basically as I use the 6 senses. So herbs have certain codes about them. They have certain principles. And one of the reasons why I want to talk about them is because modern science, for the most part, underestimates or devalues the technology or the principles that our ancestors used to know the medicinal uses of herbs. And so when we do our herb walk, our herb walk is based on 2 things. One is to know the medicine, how to determine the medicinal uses of herbs. And then the second herb walk that we do is how to identify herbs based on the families that they're from. The last thing that we teach is the name of herbs.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, the last thing that we teach.
All right, so you're gonna give us a little insight into how to identify that then.
All right, good.
Yeah.
So one of the things that we do is, so this is a herb here that a lot of persons would be familiar with. And
which one is this now?
This is called, and as I said, we don't even talk about the
name yet.
Name.
All right.
And the reason why I don't talk about the name is because a herb may have many names.
Yes.
And the name of the herb is sometimes based on the medicinal use or the medicinal benefit that it had for that community or for that person. And so sometimes it's a limited way of approaching the herb. Right? So when you look at this herb, for example, and we want to know what are the medicinal uses, one of the principles is what we call plant signature. So if you look at this herb, we try to look at some of the features of the herb. Now, if you look at this herb here, it grows on an organ that somewhat looks like a snake or it looks like a worm. So this is actually telling us that this herb is actually good for worms. It's a vermifuge.
Oh,
It's good for worm.
wow.
It also,
Like a cleanser too.
it's a cleanser.
Yeah.
It also bears purple flowers.
Uh-huh.
Now, most herbs, and this is there are always exceptions.
Mhm.
Most herbs that grow a purple flower
Mm.
is usually rich in iron,
Mm-hmm.
and it's also so it's good for the blood.
Mm-hmm.
So we can test that hypothesis. So
Uh-huh.
most herbs
Yes.
that grow a purple flower
Mm-hmm.
is usually good in iron, and it's also high in zinc.
Mm-hmm.
So it's no wonder that vervain is good for women who are having menstrual issues
Mm.
because it impacts directly on the blood.
Mm-hmm.
So apart from the features of the plant,
Mm-hmm.
so we look at this organ of the plant and we see
Visible
that
sign.
visible feature.
Mhm.
It looks like a worm, so we know that it's a vermifuge.
Yeah.
Our ancestors also tasted herbs.
Uh-huh.
So I'm gonna go ahead and
Taste that one?
mhm,
Oh, I didn't even know we could do that.
mhm.
Uh-huh.
And I'm trying to identify
Mm. Taste.
when taste. So I taste a little bitterish.
Yeah.
Now, bitter herbs and the properties of the herbs tells us what it's for. So it's slightly bitter.
Yeah.
Now there are two types of bitter herbs.
Yeah.
There's what we call simple bitters,
Mhm.
and there's what we call fragrant bitters.
Yeah.
Right? So fragrant bitters like Contribo
Mm.
and other herbs that not only have a bitterish taste,
Mhm.
but a very high fragrance.
Yeah.
So this is a simple bitter.
Uh-huh.
So
It doesn't have any high fragrance.
no, it doesn't have any high
Just
fragrance.
basic bitter.
Yeah, it's a simple bitter.
Yeah.
And when we look at herbs, so simple bitters usually are herbs that impact on the liver.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So it impacts on the liver.
Mhm.
So by tasting this, I would know that this is something that helps with the liver.
Mm.
It also helps with the blood.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
And herbs have what is called primary function,
Uh-huh.
secondary functions,
Mm.
and tertiary functions.
Mhm.
Most time what we're trying to do is to identify the primary functions.
Mhm.
Then we work our way through to the secondary functions.
Ah.
All right?
Uh-huh.
And that information becomes necessary
Mm.
when we are going to do formulation.
Uh-huh.
So what I've tasted is I've tasted a simple bitter.
Mhm.
Now, what our ancestors did, they used the 4 seasons. So there is spring, summer, fall,
Mm.
and there's winter.
Mhm.
Now, this herb is what we call a drying herb. So what it does is that it also helps to get rid of toxins out of the body. And I know many people say, oh, but so as if every herb,
Mhm.
helps with toxin.
Mhm.
And most herbs do because most herbs do have a bitterish component to it.
Mhm.
All right, so that's vervain.
Mhm.
Let's look on this one over here.
Mhm.
Now this is a herb that is endemic to Jamaica. It's again, I don't even like to talk about the name because
Yeah.
names is so it makes
Names
it
come
so
afterwards.
limited. Yes. So I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna look on this herb, and this herb, when you crush it, it has a very. You can take it and smell it.
Mhm.
There's a very high, very high
Mhm.
scent.
Yeah.
And if you were to taste it,
Mhm.
you can taste it has what is called an acrid. The bark maybe is what is used more. So the leaf is not what is used medicinally. This herb is known as a dogwood tree.
Oh, this is the dogwood?
This is dogwood.
Oh.
And the bark is what is used.
Mhm.
And it has, if you notice, this is not one of the herbs that animals will eat.
Mhm.
Because acrid herbs have chemicals in them that protect them from animals. So we don't just study herbs based on looking at what animals do. Our ancestors basically would, so if you look at it, none of the leaves are damaged. All the leaves are pretty much intact. No insect eat this plant.
Mm.
And it is what we call an acrid herb. So our ancestors had a system
Mhm.
of determining the medicinal uses of herbs,
Mhm.
which is why when the African slaves came to Jamaica, they were able almost immediately to identify herbs to use as medicines
Yes, yes.
because they
And
used
they never brought the herbs here themselves for the
No,
most part.
for the
some
most part.
some they did, but
Right.
for the most part.
right.
Yeah.
So so indigenous people
Yeah.
were very akin to nature.
Yes, yes.
So this herb, basically
Dogwood.
dogwood,
Uh-huh.
is used for headaches.
Uh-huh. It's funny that the dog is it's coming right when we're talking about the dogwood.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah.
For headaches, it
it says very good for headache. As a matter of fact, it is internationally known
Uh-huh.
It is one of the most recognized herb in the world for dealing with headaches.
Really?
Yeah, this Pisidia jamensis. As a matter of fact, the scientific name is linked to Jamaica. So this is endemic to Jamaica.
The dogwood.
The dogwood.
Interesting.
Yes. And it's one of the herbs that we call acrid. Now, acrid herbs are herbs that when you taste them, they allow your mouth to produce saliva.
Okay.
They allow your mouth to produce saliva.
Yeah.
And that is very important. When we're studying herbs, it's very important to understand the properties of herbs, because we also need to know the opposite.
Yes.
What are the opposite to this herb?
Yeah.
Now, the opposite to a herb like this would be what is called an astringent. So this herb causes the tissues of the body to produce fluid. So depending on what the ailment is, if there's dryness, let me give you an example. If there is inflammation, because once you have an inflammation, what happens is that area of the body, the tissues automatically begin to produce fluid. So what you want to do is, so there's swelling. So what you want to do is reverse that swelling. This herb is actually very good for that. So I'm seeing acrid herb here. This is an acrid herb. Here's another one that would come from the same acrid group of herbs. So acrid herbs are very good for pain, and they're also very good for reducing swelling. So this is, of course, we know it as noni. And as I said, somebody would say, I know somebody watching would say, "Why this man love tasty, man?" And what are the chances of me getting poison? And that's something that we
question.
We talk about a lot. Now, even if this was a poisonous herb, I would have to consume far more than what I'm tasting now for it to have a harmful effect. All right? So I'm going to go ahead and taste it. And I don't encourage anybody to do what I'm doing. I don't encourage anybody to just go out there in the wild and taste herbs. This is something that you do with the guidance of a professional.
Actually, and on that point, just hold the point. Don't forget what you're going to say, Dr. Israel, is you have studied herbs for many years. Where and how did you come to learn about all of this? I mean, what was it to the grandparents, or you went to an institute, or how did you get all this body of knowledge now that you're imparting to all of us?
All right, so it's funny because I'm here at my grandparents' house. And this is where it all began. This is ground zero for me. Of course, I studied herbs. I went to know the defunct Sandy Hill Institute of Natural Medicine, where I studied herbology. I did a bachelor's and then I did a doctorate in herbs. But after studying, I was not satisfied. Because almost anybody who studies herbology from any online college or any college in particular, they are always going to be limited to herbs from North America.
Okay, I see.
And usually the raw material is going to be dried herbs. So while I was studying, I realized that most of the herbs that I was being introduced to as raw material to work with weren't herbs that I could find around me. So I'm here in Jamaica, and this is where I intend to practice. At that time, Jamaica was having a lot of hurricanes. And whenever we had a hurricane or a storm, there was a delay in shipment. So I said, no, I'm not going any further. So what I did from very early in my practice, I began to swap out those herbs for local herbs. So the question is, I now had to learn from indigenous, from local herbalists, the herbs that were around me. And then I had to know use scientific knowledge to support that. So that's basically how my journey began. So I now use maybe 95 or 98% of our products is 100% Jamaican herbs.
Wonderful.
And my grandparents, I come from a long list of grandparents and so on who have that history of natural medicine.
Awesome. Well, we're blessed, and we're happy to have you. Glad to have someone like you, because I don't think we have a lot more persons like you who believe, not just believe in her, but study it at the highest level, and is able now to impart and share your kind of knowledge, your expertise with us. So we really, on behalf of all of us, and all the guys watching too, we want to say we appreciate you. But back to the noni you said. So
noni is what we call an acrid herb, and I'm using some terms because what happened is that our ancestors, what I do is I've divided or categorized herbs into 12 categories, and so from those 12 categories, you can use that 12 categories to determine the medicinal use of any herbs. So 12 categories of identifying the medicinal uses of herbs using the 5 senses.
Okay.
All right?
So far we have looked at the taste.
Yes.
I think for the most part. And
Yes.
you did it?
So we did mention the color.
The color?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, you said purple is for liver.
Iron.
Iron.
High in iron.
Uh-huh.
And it's also high in sulfur.
Uh-huh.
And almost every herb, almost every herb that grows a red flower is good for the blood.
Ah, so it signifies the blood.
Yes, almost every herb that grows a yellow flower is good for the urinary tract system.
Ah.
So while I'm saying this now, anybody who knows a particular herb, I want you to go right back in your brain, and I want you to begin to just try to remember what flowers it had on it. Almost every herb that grows thorn, and we had one here, Wesley.
Yeah, man.
There is the Shema Maca.
Shema Maca, yes. Oh, I think that. Oh,
Yeah.
What about that? Okay.
So here's a Shema.
Hold on, guys. Get into the Shema Maca.
Yeah. So here's a Shema Maca.
The Shema Maca is a little bit shame now. So
Yes.
it close up.
It closes up, but
yeah.
it produces a purple flower.
Yes.
And that is one of the reasons why it's so good. It's high in iron, and also it grows thorn on it. So almost every plant that grows thorn is good for pain.
Ah. Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. So there's always exception.
Yes. Yes.
But almost, so this is our ancestors, codified things. So they would look for certain features. So once a herb grew thorns on it, so we talk about cat's claw, we talk about just think about it. Any herb, most herbs that grow a thorn.
What about like the cactus stuff?
Good for pain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the aloe vera and the.
Good for pain.
Yeah.
There's one that I love. It's called I don't remember it now, but it's one of my favorite herbs. It's one of my favorite herb. We use it a lot for persons who have rheumatoid arthritis.
Okay.
It's a tree that grows lots of thorns on it.
Okay. Okay.
I guess it'll come back to me. So this plant, it grows thorn and it has a purple flower. So the root of this is actually it's used for toothache.
Oh.
So if you take the root, if you get this plant out and take the root,
you can pull it, man, for demonstration. Because we have a whole lot here.
Yeah. So if you take this out and you were to break this off and wash it and just chew it up and stuff it into your tooth, it would get rid of the pain.
Wow. This is Shema Maca again, guys.
Shema Maca.
Shema Maca.
If you're having kidney stones, this is also very good for that. Yeah, so it's one of the herbs that we use.
Awesome, awesome. So,
Alright.
so anything for pain, the Maca one good for pain?
Yeah, very, very good.
Okay.
So we call it plant signature.
Okay. We can probably walk out here and look and see if we see any more.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, we identify. And what about the Spanish needle? So we have the Spanish needle.
The Spanish needle is what we call a salty herb. Now, salty herbs they're salty because of minerals. Salty herbs are very good in terms of breaking up, any type of tumor or anything like that. So this herb is what we call a salty herb. Just like most grasses. Most grasses are classified as salty herbs. So most grasses, if you're having any type of swelling, they make very good poultice because tumor, any type of abscess, anything like that. Most grasses will help to alleviate that.
Awesome, awesome.
So,
what about the taste for that one? I know people use it a lot now for tea, in teas. But, yeah.
And I'm tasting slight astringent, a little salty, a little like a staininess. Yeah. But this herb is also a vegetable.
Yeah.
Because when we talk about herbs, we can just talk about the medicinal uses of herbs. If we talk about herbs as food as well. And I also want to say most herbs, most medicinal herbs in their young form are vegetables. So
Okay.
so this Spanish needle is mature.
Yeah.
So it's more medicinal. As plants become more mature, then the constitution changes, the medicines gets more stronger, and so it changes from a nutritional herb to a medicinal herb, a nutraceutical herb.
Awesome.
And that's how you know the difference about from when a herb is a medicine and when it is best for food.
Okay. Wait, guys, this is so much. We're not able to do it in one time. Let me grab it before I forget. One, how many herbs have you personally identified in Jamaica That you
Wow.
can remember?
Um,
Or you haven't done a check on it?
I know I have a list of over what, 300.
300.
Mm-hmm.
300 herbs.
300 herbs.
Okay. Which of the herbs? Them obviously for many different reasons. Guys, look at the background. Look at bush. Look at herb. Look at trees.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, which one of them, Mr. Dr. Israel, would you say is of all the herbs is your favorite herb? A difficult question, but I'm going to ask anyway.
It's hard because it's based on what, but I love guava leaf.
Guava leaf, and why?
Because it's very powerful. And I like the flavor of it.
I'm going to ask you, my brother, to talk about what you're doing. You have a special project that's going on now.
Yes.
Right now that you have, and you want the world to know about it. And I'm excited about it too. So tell us about, in 2 minutes or so, about what is coming, what is going on now at your institute.
All right. So right now, you know, what happened is that the next great crisis is going to be a food and medicine crisis. And Jamaica has 50% of the medicinal herbs in the world are found in Jamaica. With 300 of them, 30% of them only being found in Jamaica. And with that, we don't have a proper herbal system. And so what I've done is that I've organized what I call a program called Indigenous Caribbean Medicine. So Indigenous Caribbean Medicine is, you know, the Chinese have theirs, the Indian have theirs, and I'm saying that it is full time for the Caribbean to have their brand of medicine.
Yeah.
So Indigenous Caribbean Medicine is basically medicine is based on plants and it's based on the healing system that was developed in the Caribbean. And so we have packaged that in a course and we are now making that available. The target is I'm looking for persons who want to practice in a clinical setting as well as persons who want for personal development.
Yeah.
So the name is Boston Institute of Natural Medicine and it's 100% online. It is also self-paced. So it doesn't matter your schedule, you can do it. And what I'm targeting because, you know, what has been revealed to me, this is actually something I've been summoned to do. And there are a lot of persons in Jamaica that carry the DNA of healers. A lot of persons in Jamaica are actually descendants of powerful healers, but they don't know. Some of them know, but they don't know how to access it. So what I've done is I've put together a program to help those persons to unleash or to unlock that natural healing ability in them. And the goal is also, 70% of Jamaicans in Jamaica, Caribbean people, trust their natural medicine as their primary healthcare source.
Well, I tell you, it's a 70%. I know 100% online right now.
Yes.
Believe that.
Yes. And a lot of persons are in the diaspora, and they have been detached. I don't believe that as a people we have done enough. We talk about preserving the culture. We have not done enough. We focus on the language, we focus on the food, but we have not done enough to focus on the medicine. And so that is what I'm doing. A part of that will be to standardize. So I've put together a standard list of medicinal plants. So the list is far bigger than that, but that will grow. So what we have now is a standard list. So if somebody was to become a practitioner, then they would have a list, a standard list to choose from, to raw material to make medicine from. And as I said, it's 100% online. And
you are based in Portland.
Yeah, I'm based in Portland.
No, that's not the garden. St. Anne's. What do they call Portland again?
Well, it's lush and it's green. And I would say that most of the concentration of healing in Jamaica is in St. Thomas and Portland.
Yeah, I know for a fact. Yeah, but the course is online.
The course is 100% online.
Everybody can access to anybody. So actually, it's called the Boston Institute. A course on what again?
Indigenous
Caribbean herbs. How to identify it. How to essentially, in my words now, how to essentially become your own herbal doctor.
Right.
All right, good. And actually, guys, there's a link. There's a link right now in the description.
Yes.
Right. We have a link in the description
for person to register.
Yeah, man. So you can register right now. There's no limit. There's no waiting or anything like that. You can just go right now. There's a link in the description.
So it's actually 4 modules right now.
Uh-huh.
And as I said, I've identified 5 industries.
Uh-huh.
So we're training persons to become consultants.
Uh-huh.
We're training persons to make medicines, to be formulators. We're training persons to dispense. So if somebody wanted to go into dispensing, we're training persons to harvesting, because we believe that it's so big, it's so far, it's so wide.
Yeah.
So I've identified 5 industries, and the training will include training persons to function in those 6 industries. There's also a tour guide, which is very awesome.
Wonderful. That's him, guys. Dr. Ben Israel, esteemed Jamaican herbalist, here with us today. What do you make of him and his approach to medicine, to herbal medicine? I'd love to hear from you. Come drop it in the comments. There's another video you need to see. 101 herbs of Jamaica. We did a tour. There's a link in the description and it's in the card above. See you that one.